الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم رب هذه
إن الحمد لله هو ولي النعم وهو أهل الثناء والعطاء والكرم نحمده تبارك وتعالى كما أثنى على نفسه من القدم ونعوذ بنور وجهه الكريم من الشرور والنكم ونسأله اللطف فيما طويت عليه الصحف وخطه القلم وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله خير من عز وحكم كان موجودا من الأزل والكون عدم خلق الخلق فمنهم من أسعده ومنهم من أورثه من ندم وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا محمدًا عبده ورسوله إلى كافة الأجناس والأمم الأمي الذي لم يقرأ ولم يكتب بقلم وكان قدوة لأمته في العدل فما أخطأ في حق الله وما ظلم سعت إليه الأشجار على ساق بغير قدم وطأطأ الذئب رأسه بين يديه واحتشم اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أولي العزائم والهمم أما بعد. Praise and thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we thank Him, and we seek His help, aid and guidance. And we seek refuge in Him subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evils of our own souls and from the evils of the bad deeds that we do. and we commit each and every single day. Whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, none can lead astray. And whoever He, glorified and most high He leads astray, none can guide. We bear witness and testify that there is no God except Allah, that there is no deity worthy to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one and only, the eternal, the absolute. He begets not, nor has He begotten, and there is none that is comparable to Him. And we bear witness and testify that Muhammad is His slave and final messenger. Peace and blessings be upon him. Peace and blessings be upon the prophets and messengers before him. Peace and blessings be upon his household, his family, his companions. And peace and blessings be upon those of us who follow his righteous sunnah, his teachings and tradition, to the last day. Ameen. To proceed, my dear respected brothers and sisters. يقول عز من قائل. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran al-Kareem, في سورة الأحزاب, chapter of the Confederates, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O you who believe. And that's us, right here in this very masjid, in Cleveland, Ohio, out of all places. This is the special call from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that pertains only to the believers. It is not the generic call of Ya Ayyuhan Nas, O people, which includes Muslims and non-Muslims. So whatever comes after Ya Ayyuhal Ladina Amanu, it is good if we think about it as a recipe. It's a recipe that only works for the believers. It does not work for anybody else. Or else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have addressed everyone, Muslims and non-Muslims. So Ya Ayyuhal Ladina Amanu, yes, O Lord, Na'am Ya Rab, Ittaqullah. Have taqwa with respect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are many different definitions for taqwa, past and contemporary. I personally like that of Sayyidina Ali, because of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, the fourth rightly guided caliph of Islam. He used to say, taqwa is al-khawfu min al-jaleel, wal-amalu bil-tanzeel, والرضا بالقليل والاستعداد ليوم الرحيل. He used to say taqwa is the fear of the most majestic, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْعَمَلُ بِالتَّنْزِيلِ, and to act upon what Allah descended on His Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. That is Al-Kitab wa Sunnah, the book of Allah and His Sunnah, His way, His tradition alayhi salatu wasalam. وَالرِّضَى بِالْقَلِيلِ, and to be satisfied with what is little, whether it be health or wealth. وَالْإِسْتِعْدَادُ لِيَوْمِ الرَّحِيلِ, and to be always ready and prepared for the day when you depart from this world. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. Not just having taqwa with respect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also combined with it, وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا, and say the truth. Be forthright. Do not beat around the bush, as they say here in this country. Be straightforward. Say what is right. And the result of these two together, it results in some really fruitful consequences. Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُصْلِحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ. He subhanahu wa ta'ala will rectify our deeds. Will make it good. Will make it salih. Will make it pleasing to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our a'mal, our deeds. وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. This is number two. And He will forgive our sins, our shortcomings, because we're nothing but human and we make mistakes all the time. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ends the ayah with وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. And whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger. And His Messenger. A lot of Muslims nowadays will tell you give me an ayah in the Quran, an ayah, not a hadith, that tells me about this or that. And in more than one account in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that there is no obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except through the obedience to His Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. And this is one of them. وَمَنْ يُطْعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ, and whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا, that person indeed has achieved the greatest achievement ever, has won the greatest prize ever, and that is Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admit us into Jannah in the highest rank with Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, the righteous and the martyrs, without any prior punishment. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Say Ameen. My dear respected brothers and sisters, first of all, I apologize for being a couple of minutes late. I just arrived in town from out of state. The topic of this very khutbah is of crucial importance. It's a story, and we all like stories. A story about that little kid, a young man, teenager. And that young man used to live in the city of Yathrib. And that was the old name of the city before the Prophet ﷺ migrated to it. And maybe you will think these are good stories, but how will it be relevant to us today? To us, to our youth, to our kids? You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Most, if not all, of the events, of the life events of that kid pertain to us. They pertain very much, and they are very relevant to us. He was bright, a genius in his own right, impressed whoever he met. Black eyes, curly hair. He accepted Islam at the hands of Sayyidina Mus'ab ibn Umayr. May Allah be pleased with him. He was the ambassador of the Prophet ﷺ to Yathrib before the migration, before the hijrah, to kind of pave the road and educate the people of Yathrib about Islam before the Prophet's ﷺ migration to it. And that very point, him accepting Islam at the hands of Sayyidina Mus'ab, and if you can tell, I'm not revealing the name, and I'm not probably going to reveal it, maybe until the very end of the khutbah. I'll let you guess through the way, who's that young man, who's that young kid. But we live in a predominantly non-Muslim majority country, and we have an everyday choice, an everyday chance to educate the people of this country, our co-workers, our colleagues, our non-Muslim acquaintances, our neighbors, about Islam. What is it? What is Tawheed? Who is the Prophet ﷺ? Because they are being brainwashed, left, right, and center, 24/7, on radio shows, talk shows, TV, social media, you name it, about how evil we are and what kind of corrupt belief that we have. And that's an everyday chance that we have to do that. Because the Prophet ﷺ says in more than one narration, I'll choose that one, لَأَنْ يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا فِيهَا. Surely, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides one person, just one, it is better for you than this dunya and what it contains. All the bling bling, as they say. It's better than all of that for you. Than all this world, than all this universe and what it contains. Imagine all the bling bling that this universe has. It's better for you than all of that. If just one person is guided to Islam because of you. After accepting Islam, that kid, and he was just a kid. He was just a kid at that time. After accepting Islam, he journeyed amongst around 70 people from Yathrib. We can call them Yathribites, given the lingo. And they journeyed from Yathrib to Mecca. And the purpose of the trip included those 70 people, included some women, family members of those companions of the Prophet ﷺ, who never met the Prophet ﷺ at that point. They journeyed from Yathrib to Mecca for one sole purpose. And it was not for a road trip. We take road trips, they're pretty fun. And it was not to sightsee. And it was not to go shopping. You know, in Dallas, and I'm from Dallas, Texas, we have a big mall called the Galleria. And there are a lot of hotels around that mall because people fly sometimes from out of town or out of state or out of the country just to go shop at that big humongous mall. These around 72, 73 people from Yathrib, amongst them that young kid, including some women, they journeyed for one sole reason and one sole purpose, and that was to meet with the Prophet ﷺ in person, shake his hands, not the women, just the guys, just the men, because the Prophet ﷺ would not shake a woman's hand that is not directly related to him, ﷺ, and to pledge allegiance. To pledge allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ. That is to vow that they would defend and support the Prophet ﷺ at any cost. Quite interestingly, a pledge of allegiance amongst women. Because here in this country, and if you're not familiar with that, you can look it up. Women in this country got their right to merely vote, not to pledge allegiance, but just to merely vote. They got their right to vote in 1920. And that's a fact. You can look it up. Matter of fact, one of the times that I mentioned this from the member of the Prophet ﷺ, a judge was seeking re-election in his district, and he was outside the masjid in Austin, Texas. I invited him inside, and he was sitting back there on a chair, and when I said that, he smiled and nodded his head. It's true. You can look it up. Women in this country got their right to vote, to merely vote in 1920. Women in Islam got their right to vote 1 year before the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Medina. At least 1 year before the hijrah. We are in the year 1441 Hijri, so 1442 years ago. And if you take into account the Sayyidah Khadija, the very wife of the Prophet ﷺ, and her pledge of allegiance to him, ﷺ, then that will be from the very first day of the mission. We need to know that stuff. It's important. That pledge of allegiance that each and every one of us has to have with respect to the Prophet ﷺ, it is the mere difference between us and those companions of the Prophet ﷺ who chose to take this religion upon their shoulders. We will not be sitting here in Cleveland, Ohio, as Muslims in this very masjid without their sacrifice, without their pledge of allegiance. Once again, they did not do much more siyam, or much more salah, or much more ibadat, rituals, acts of rituals, ritualistic acts of ibadah, more than us probably. It was something that was inside their hearts that gave them that distinction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That distinction is mentioned in the Quran. And by the way, that event of giving bay'ah to the Prophet ﷺ at the outskirts of Mecca, in the valley of Mina, at a particular place called Al-Aqaba, is called Bay'at Al-Aqaba Al-Thaniyah, the second Aqaba pledge. Those 70 plus people from Yathrib gave bay'ah to the Prophet ﷺ at the most famously known Bay'at Al-Aqaba Al-Thaniyah, the second Aqaba pledge. For those of us who have been to Hajj, we know where Mina is, we know where Al-Aqaba is. For those of us who did not go yet, inshallah you go soon. that distinction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts between the early companions, those who sacrificed and those who came later, after things became nice and dandy, as they say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَا يَسْتَوِي مِنْكُمْ. You are not the same. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to the very companions of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. You are not the same. لَا يَسْتَوِي مِنْكُمْ مَنْ أَنْفَقَ مِنْ قَبْلِ الْفَتْحِ وَقَاتَلَ. Whoever spent and fought before the establishment, before the Fath. And the Fath here in this ayah is not the Fath of Mecca, it is Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, which happened in year 6 Hijri. And that was a Fath, that was an establishment and an empowerment for Muslims at that time. لا يستوي منكم. You are not the same. من أنفق من قبل الفتح وقاتل. Whoever spent and fought before the establishment, before the empowerment. أولئك, those, أعظم درجة من الذين أنفقوا من بعد وقاتلوا. Those are of greater ranks and greater levels than those who spent and fought afterwards. After things became nice and dandy. That's the reward of the pioneers. Pioneer is very different from a follower. Very different. It's a very different mindset. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says right after that, وَكُلَّ وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الْحُسْنَى. And Allah promised both categories. Jannah, al-Husna, paradise. But the level is different. The rank is different. When the Prophet ﷺ says about Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Shaykh al-Ashab, the second man after the Prophet ﷺ, the very first successor, may Allah be pleased with him, and he says, مَا طَلَعَتِ الشَّمْسِ وَلَا غَرْبَتْ عَلَى رَجُلٍ بَعْدَ النَّبِيِّينَ أَفْضَلَ مِنْ أَبِي بَكْرٍ الصِّدِّيقِ. The sun did not rise nor set upon the face of a man who is below the prophets in rank, better than Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. No one has that but Abu Bakr until the day of judgment. No one has that. And again, it's not because of extra salah or siyam, or because of something in his heart. May Allah please with him. That pledge of allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ. When the Prophet ﷺ says about Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, لو كان بعدي نبي لكان عمر. If there was a prophet to come after me, it would be Umar. Again, no one has that but Umar ibn al-Khattab. May Allah be pleased with him. Now back to the story of that young kid. Finally, the Prophet ﷺ migrates to his town, to his city. Imagine. If I ask each and every one of you, which I'm not going to do because we're standing in the Friday fitting, the Prophet ﷺ were to migrate to Cleveland, Ohio, and made this his place and headquarters, what would you do? What would you do? What would a person with a lot of brains and genius like that young kid that we're talking about do? Take him to lunch, invite him to dinner, show him around? What? A person with a lot of brains on him would do just like that young kid did, and that is to stay in the company of the Prophet ﷺ like glue, as they say. He stayed in the company of the Prophet ﷺ like glue, to learn. He learned Quran. He learned Hadith. He learned fiqh, jurisprudence, halal and haram, until he became one of the most well-versed among the companions of the Prophet ﷺ at his very young age. He was merely a teenager at that time. And we know that because he died all in all when he was around 33 years old during Ta'un Amwas, during the plague of Amwas in Asham, during the caliphate of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab. So if you backtrack the years and calculate, he was just a teenager when the Prophet ﷺ conferred a title that no one has until the day of judgment to that young kid, and that is, he is the most knowledgeable of the ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam in matters of halal and haram. He is that young kid. And on the day of judgment, he will come as the imam of all scholars. Imam al-ulama, yawm al-qiyamah. The Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith, what means the most knowledgeable of my ummah in matters of halal and haram is, and I'm about to reveal the name for those of you who are wondering, is Mu'adh ibn Jabal. A teenager, a kid. A kid that we all would like to have. A teenager that we all would love to have as our son. Or maybe we would like to be like him too. Not like Mike, as they said. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه أما بعد. My dear respected brothers and sisters, I'll conclude with part of an ayah and we'll have a salah inshallah ta'ala, so please bear with me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ لِيَصُدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ فَسَيُنْفِقُونَهَا ثُمَّ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسْرَةً ثُمَّ يُغْلَبُونَ. And before I attempt to explain what that means in English, I would like to say, if this room is bugged, maybe it is. It's a message of love. The Quran does not contain messages of hate. So keep listening until the end. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, surely and verily, those who disbelieve, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, surely and verily, those who disbelieve, spend their money, resources, and wealth for the very purpose لِيَصُدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, for the very purpose of turning away from the path of Allah. If you're not clicking with that, turn on the TV. See what's up there. Go on Netflix. Not asking you to watch, but see what's up there. See the billboards on the side of the highway. Multi-billion-dollar industries of alcohol, gambling, legal prostitution, whatever that is. Smoking. In its variety of forms. Vaping. Getting buzzed. Some of our youth are into that. Indulging people in their vices. And if it's not that, it is conspiring day and night on radio shows, talk shows, TV, social media about how bad Muslims are and what kind of corrupt belief that we have. They're spending and they're doing their best so that nobody thinks about Allah nor about where they're going the hereafter. So that nobody picks up a Quran to read and know for a fact what do we believe in, what do we stand for. They're spending and they're doing their best. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَسَيُنْفِقُونَهَا, all that money and all these resources will be spent. They will be depleted, they will be gone. ثُمَّ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسْرَةً, and then after some time, and ثُمَّ in Arabic language is a tool that gives you sequence of events that with much delay in time. تَرْتِيب مع التراخي في الزمن. After a while, they will feel the sorrow, the grief, the sadness, because all of these resources are finished. And then Allah says, ثُمَّ يُغْلَبُونَ, and then they will be defeated. Because you cannot challenge Allah. You lose. So the question now becomes, with your respected brothers and sisters, they're spending and they're doing their best. What are we spending on? What are we spending on? What are we doing to counteract that kind of spending? It's a message of love, because one of the best ways to spend is to spend on da'wah, on those who are doing their best to call people towards Islam. And I'm happy to be standing here today representing an organization that does exactly that. It's called Mercy for Mankind, headquartered in Peoria, Illinois. They have been doing just da'wah in the US and Europe professionally for many years now. All kinds of da'wah, street da'wah at events, all kinds of da'wah. You can go on their webpage and public Facebook page. I'm not a big fan of social media, but you can see the public pages on Facebook and so on, and see the testimonials. And they have full-time da'is, full-time du'at, part-time du'at. But one of the most recent projects that they are embarking on is closing on a facility, a magnificent facility, something that is really neat, high-end, that will serve, and it's in LA, in the heart of Hollywood. Something that will serve, it's a 7-acre mansion, and the very purpose of that facility is to serve as 3 things. One, it's a masjid. That's the only masjid there, in that area, Malibu, California. The second purpose, it's a hub, Markaz lil-Shabab. It's a hub for Muslim youth from all around the world. They did not choose to be born here. I did not choose to be born here. Our youth, our kids did not choose to be born here. We brought them here. And their Islamic identity is being almost lost. And I travel and I know we have a responsibility to do. We do. And that will serve as Markaz lil-Shabab, to educate them about their religion. A very nice facility like that. Thirdly, it will be Markaz I'dad Du'at, a center to graduate professional callers to Islam. Remember, a professional da'i has a turnout of 200 to 300 converts every year. And you aiding those professional du'at is just like you are doing that yourself. Remember the hadith that we said at the beginning. Surely if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides one person through you, it's better for you than this dunya and what it contains. And you aiding those people, you aiding Mercy for Mankind, doing its work, and closing on that facility is doing that. Now, this facility costs millions of dollars. But subhanAllah, at the time of negotiations, it came down to 2.7. 2 million have been secured, alhamdulillah. 400 out of the remaining 700,000 has been secured, alhamdulillah. I'm hoping that we can raise, perhaps 15,000 from this very masjid after the salat bi'idhnillah ta'ala. I'll not burden you. Whoever can do $1,000 on the whole year, it's fine. Do it $100 a month, $50 a month, whatever you can. But if we can get $1,000, it is a sadaqah jariyah. It is building a masjid. Whoever builds a masjid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will build a house for him in Jannah, Ya Rabb. You have a property there, you will get there, inshaAllah ta'ala. If you cannot afford but $500 for the whole year, that's fine. You can do it one time via installments, however you want to do it. We have pledge forms, and I do have something neat called Square. I plug it to my phone, you slide your card, you get done with it, you're not going to feel it at all. At all. Until the statement comes. Or, I'm not joking, until the day of judgment. You're not going to feel it. If it is given out of sincerity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will amplify it and magnify it for you. All what I'm asking is for you, do your best. And if it's even less than that, $1 per day, that's the cost of a soda. $365 a year. That's fine too. Whatever that you can afford. 1,500 or less. بارك الله فيكم. إني داع فأمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين. Ya Allah, we ask you to grant victory for the Muslims all over the world. Ya Allah, we ask you to guide non-Muslims all over the world. Ya Allah, we ask you to guide our youth and ourselves and make us closer to you. Ya Rabb al-Alamin. اللهم إنا نسألك من الخير كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم ونعوذ بك من الشر كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم ونسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل ونسألك مما سألك به عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك مما تعوذ منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وما قضيت لنا من قضاء فاجعل عاقبته رشدا وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Please make room for those in the back. Please make room for those in the back. Back there, first row. Please come a little forward. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله. بسم الله الحمد لله.